Dear beloved Creator of all that is, we call you when we face challenges, and we are fortified. Our spirits are buoyed by right action, and you fortify us. We ask for divine wisdom in all that we do, and it is given. We are humbled by your presence, and we are graced, and so it is.
Hello. My name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. This is a copy of our second edition in newsprint. You can find us at www.orsja.org. This is to the Marine Corps. To every Marine that has an oath that feels that he is the one that should answer the call for domestic enemies from within that he took an oath to protect. We're having a little bit of a hard time getting this through. So, who are we? We are the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. Article 1, Section 1, the Social Compact on Oregon, the provisional government. Because we do not have government on Oregon, we have governance. We have color of law de facto governance since 1910, 115 years of deception by bar attorneys. They have done very evil things on Oregon. Article 7 amended, and not one of them can rebut anything that we say. They are illegitimate and they cannot support their law form. They have no oath or bondability, and neither do any one of the 36 sheriffs we have on Oregon. This has been reported continuously for the last 3 years to the U.S. DOJ, Internal Affairs, for the Marshals, U.S. Marshal Service. Fellow's name there is Maurice Hammond. This has also been reported to every one of the 36 sheriffs multiple times over the last 5 years. We have not one with the proper oath in office fulfilling the requirements of the Constitution, of the Oregon Revised Statutes, of the DPSST. Only one came close, Sam Elliott, and he still failed. But he has a chance to redeem it. We hope he does. So we have 89 out of 90 legislators that were tried by an Article 3 Amendment 7 court of record and found to be guilty, and verdicts issued from an Article 3 Amendment 7 civilian common law court of record with ex parte Milligan implemented. That bunch came up with verdicts of they broke their oath, they have no honor, and may not hold a position of trust. And then the Secretary of State accepted Tina's application and several others to run for additional office after they had already been tried and found guilty and a verdict issued. So, can't say much for our Secretary of State in doing his job of preparing a proper ballot. Not if they can present that on the ballot. But putting that aside, We've also come up with oaths that are incomplete and invalid. That doesn't make it. It's got to be a proper oath, and you have to be bondable, and you have to do it with good faith and intent and be honorable. So here we are, looking at Los Angeles and the executive of the United States of Washington, District of Columbia, Inc., in some form, Donald John Trump, Commander in Chief of the Marine Corps, for sure, because the Army is stuck with the United States of the District of Columbia and the Lieber Code and martial law on the states and territories that have not implemented ex parte Milligan. So he cannot call upon the Army to do anything. The Army is already involved in a de facto incorporated governance. But the Marine Corps can still be de jure, lawful and constitutional, just like the sheriffs. We know we can't depend upon the executive coming out of Salem, nor the legislative coming out of Salem, nor the judiciary coming out of Salem. They are all de facto, and they have been found guilty, verdicts passed, and they have acquiesced. They have no honor. Now we're working on the sheriffs, but if the sheriffs don't come through, then the next step is golly whiz, U.S. Marine Corps. It looks like they put a battalion on the land in Los Angeles. I was reading up on it. A battalion, they just renumbered it. 800, this is a guess, I can't recall exactly. 826 Marines and 65 Navy to make up a battalion. All the corpsmen are sailors. So here we are on Oregon, and we're looking actively for a battalion to do the job on Oregon for our peace, safety, and happiness. Provide us with this help. So how do you do that? How do you get the Marine Corps, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, to do what is required? Well, we chose a petition for redress of grievance from the First Amendment. And I called around and I found a lady attorney working for the Department of Navy who said to me, yes, I am the one that accepts service for the Commandant of the Marine Corps. Her name is Pleasant. I forget her first name right now. And we sent to her our petition for redress of grievance, return receipt requested, and we got our green card back. They received it. Then we started trying to find out why nothing was happening. Well, I spoke to Joseph Lohr. I think he might still be there now. He was JAG for the Commandant, and we had a conversation. You can find these guys if you call their number at 7 o'clock in the evening after everybody else has gone home, and they sometimes pick up their own telephone. Well, hi, Joe. And so we had a conversation and we agree. There is de facto and there is de jure. Now, how do we accommodate the lawful JAG for the Commandant of the Marine Corps in the provenance of what is de jure? We say de jure, or lawful, legitimate, constitutional, starts with the Marine Corps 1775. That's before there was a United States, and that's before there was anything. Then they had the group in Philadelphia. They made some wonderful documents. One of them was the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America with the small u. That group later formed in 1777 the United States of America, by name, styled that way. The United States of America, and in a confederation and perpetual union. That's the form of government they selected. That bunch eventually wrote their constitution and submitted it to the states and got it back from the states, and they inaugurated Washington with 12, not 13. Rhode Island didn't come back. That was the first time the perpetual union was broken. The second time was broken when South Carolina left in 1860. The last lawful president was Buchanan. The last state is Oregon. So we lost government and got de facto governance in March 1861. Thank you, Lincoln. We have never gotten out of martial law. Indiana got out of martial law with Ex parte Milligan, and it's still honored. We know that because we implemented it, and it worked. But to our knowledge, no other state has implemented Ex parte Milligan, thereby creating a civilian common law court of record, which isn't hard to do, and we did it 2018. So Oregon, the state among the several states, returned as a constitutional Republican form of government, jure, November 2022. That's when we finished all the paperwork. Everything was signed, sealed, stamped, witnessed, proof of service, delivered to the best of our ability. We recently got back one of those large envelopes from the post office that you put your documents in when you send them away, your instruments you send away. Charlie sent one away 2 years ago, and nobody knew where it was. Nobody could find it. We called about it, nothing. Then we got it back. It had been cut open, and the letter inside cut open, all put back together. The green card that had been signed was put back onto the package and sealed. And then it took 3 months to get from there to us. Then we took all of that and went downtown to the post office, who's now out at the airport. We went to the airport, and nobody will accept responsibility in the post office. We know. We went there. We did that. There is no assumption of responsibility. There isn't. The Universal Postal Union Treaty that we're supposed to be operating on with confidence doesn't work anymore. We have the proof. We've gone round and round with the post office before. We filed into the federal district court downtown Portland when we thought that was an Article 3 court and we could find remedy there, which is wrong. It's an Article 1 court. We cannot find remedy there. So it would seem to me, and we're going to do it, is send this video and attach the required documents and all the information that we can, and we're going to deliver that to the Marine Corps. We're going to deliver it as a package. We're going to hand deliver it right here in Portland. We'll find the Marines here in Portland, and they'll accept service, or they won't. They'll either keep their oath or not. Then we'll mail it to the office of the Commandant of the Marine Corps. Now, when we tried to mail the petition of redress to Pleasant, her boss sent me an email saying, "My name is Craig Jensen, Senior Executive Service, SES, a big shot attorney." And he says to me, "I'm the one that makes the decisions in this department, and you haven't submitted any paperwork to the Commandant." That might not be an exact quote, but it's real close, and you're not going to get anywhere here. I also called the counsel. His name is Anthony Romano, counsel to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, Eric Smith. And I spoke to people in his office and couldn't get through, and talked to a lieutenant colonel, and she was all upset with me on everything that I said, and it just wasn't going well. And then one evening, about 7 o'clock, I called that number, and he picked up his telephone. "Well, hi, how are you? My name is, and this is what we're doing." And he said he couldn't do anything until he got the paperwork from Craig. And we know we can't get the paperwork through Craig. We have proof that that did not work. Golly. So another call to Joseph. And Joseph says, "Ron, I know everything that you're doing. I understand." And I hope he does, because I've sent him a lot of emails. And he said, "The only way that we can talk to you is if you get the Secretary of State to provide you with bona fides of that's who you say you are, an apostille of a notarized statement, living testimony in the form of an affidavit of truth with 2 witnesses and cured for 30 days. That's a fact." So that information going to the Western Hemisphere. No, maybe that's not it. The Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs at the Department of State. We provided them with all that information: signed, sealed, stamped, witness, proof of service, green card back, all that stuff. Charlie's got all the proof. We're a court of record. And then they changed from Biden to Trump, and nobody on the staff or in the executive office of the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs knows anything about our apostille. And that's been made clear to the Inspector General for the Secretary of State. It's also been made clear to the Secretary General of the Marine Corps. And we don't seem to be able to communicate with that Marine that has the obligation to fulfill that portion of the oath for protection from enemies from within on Oregon. So the situation is, I think, more dire than Los Angeles County. We're talking about an entire state, not just a county. We have absolute proof, the best you can possibly get, a verdict from an Amendment 7 jury in a constitutional common law court of record, all done as best as we could do it without one rebuttal for 7 years. The next step that we have to take is the Oregon National Guard. On the Oregon National Guard's Provost Marshal's presentation card, Rocky, a lieutenant colonel that I've known since he was a captain, he shows it to me, and it has a 7-pointed star on his presentation card. And his number 2, Scott, nice man, met him also. In fact, our entire court met him one afternoon in their headquarters. Nice place. They were pleasant to us. And they received our petition for redress of grievance. And Scotty's talked with Charlie since, and we're doing our very best to provide all that there is to retrieve our constitutional Republican form of government out of the chaos that we have in Salem. The general of the National Guard was appointed by a convicted criminal. The verdict is in on Tina. Tina is without honor. She broke her oath and she cannot hold a position of trust. Therefore, she cannot possibly appoint the commander, the commandant, the general for the Oregon National Guard. That's an impossibility. We have a similar problem with the Oregon State Police. Casey Cotting, who won't meet me, he's not going to talk to us. We've been in their headquarters several times in groups of 4 and 5. We pass our paper to them and they accept it. We also have them with an award for their illegal activities against one of us. Due process violation, 18 USC 3571, 250K, cha-ching. We're still trying to get Shelley to pay that off. They're going to have to. The Chevron decision and the SEC versus Jarcasi, 603109. Yeah, we have the exact court that the Fifth Appellate in SCOTUS says you have to have. So that verdict is the best you can get, and it awarded Tony one shot against them for due process violation, and it's incontrovertible. So we have the information, proof, without shadow of a doubt, a preponderance of evidence that the Salem oligarchy is in control of the de facto state of Oregon and its legislature and its executive, probably the Treasury and the Secretary's office. We know we can't get into the archives. That's denied us. So that should be sufficient proof for the Marines to understand that we have enemies from within in Salem and all the way out to every one of the counties through their sheriffs. That's got to be constitutionally improper, don't you think? I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying, and then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I fought. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, shot him 3 more times.